Welcome back to the Dethroning Your Inner Critic YouTube channel. My name is Joanna Kleinman. I am a psychotherapist and CEO of the personal growth and development company Dethroning Your Inner Critic. And I just got back from delivering a keynote for a global healthcare and pharmaceutical company for their first ever Women's Summit. And I was so thrilled to be selected as the keynote speaker because the time has certainly come for women to own their own power. And it is my mission in life to inspire women to become the best version of themselves in every aspect of their lives and access their full potential in their professional lives, in their personal lives, and have the satisfaction and fulfillment that we're all craving. Now, we've struggled as women in particular for generations now to define ourselves, and we have been believing a lot of persistent myths about who we're supposed to be. And so I want to talk about some myths that are continuing to perpetuate our culture that we've been buying into, and it's time to stop buying into these beliefs. So the first myth is that there is something called imposter syndrome. Okay, you might have heard this term before. You might have even used this term before to describe a time in your business or your career where you felt like you didn't belong, or maybe you were doing something important and you thought that you were going to be found out as a fraud. And, I've heard this term thrown around for years now, okay? And what that basically implies is that there's this syndrome that women need to figure out how to overcome, okay? So imposter syndrome has been a part of our cultural narrative, and it's used as a way to describe the feeling that we can feel that we are in some way not good enough, that we're not qualified to be taking that big leap in our lives. But the truth is that we all feel this way when we are being guided by big visions, because the only way that any of us can ever achieve something that we never thought was possible is when we have the courage to take the next right action that's in alignment with our vision, and we don't necessarily know where that's going to take us. We don't necessarily know how it's going to go, right? We have no idea what's going to happen next, and that feels scary and risky. And we have this automatic mind that's hardwired to keep us safe from threats, right? And so anything that is outside of our comfort zone is an emotional threat, okay? So there's nothing safe and predictable when we're going for our dreams, when we're aligning with our visions, when we're accessing our fullest potential. I actually never met a successful woman that hasn't had thoughts like, am I really smart enough to do this? Am I good enough to do this? And what if I fail? And what if I get rejected at some point along her journey? So if you feel like an imposter, there's nothing wrong with you. This is not a syndrome. This means you're on the path to growing and evolving as a leader. So we need to stop using this term imposter syndrome. There's nothing wrong with us, okay? We don't need to figure out how to not be feeling fear, okay? And if you Google imposter syndrome, there's countless links about overcoming imposter syndrome. And that really makes me upset, okay? Because too many women think that they need to rid themselves of their fear and doubt. That if they have fear, if they have doubt, there's something wrong with them. And they first have to not have fear and doubt, and they have to first be super confident and super self-assured before they can go to that go for that promotion or write the book or go on the date or whatever it is that's outside of our comfort zone. And this is exactly why too many women spend their lives in a vicious cycle of discontentment, because deep down they have this inner whisper that says, wow, I would love to do that with my life. I would love to start that business. I would love to go for that promotion. I would love to get in the best shape of my life. I would love to find the love of my life, but I'm not yet capable of doing that. I have to first become someone else, and then that's when I'll go for that. Okay. So I can tell you, if I waited until I felt good enough, I would never have accomplished anything that I've accomplished. Okay. I certainly would not have written a book. I wouldn't have started this podcast. I wouldn't have been able to deliver the keynote that I delivered. Okay. And don't get me wrong. There is everything right about embodying that inner sense of self. Okay. That feels really good to know our value. But sometimes when we're really stretching ourselves outside of our comfort zone, we don't have that yet. We actually have to take the actions first and then be able to develop the muscles of sitting in the fear and sitting in the doubt and sitting in the discomfort and taking the actions anyway, because we see what's possible. Okay. And if we believe that there is this thing called imposter syndrome, that allows us to stay stuck and feel powerless and stay small in our lives. So it is actually antithetical to self-empowerment. Okay? So we talk about wanting for all of us to feel self-empowered, and then we normalize this idea that there's this thing called imposter syndrome. Okay? So these feelings of fear and doubt are hardwired into our DNA, into our nervous system. It comes from that primitive survival instinct to stay safe. And it's really just our primitive brain doing its job. Okay. Now, you can learn to unhook yourself from your inner critic's fears and doubts when you know the difference between your inner critic and your authentic self. And the bottom line is that you are not your thoughts. You are the person that's having your thoughts. When you know how to unhook yourself from your automatic thoughts, you can show up and do the hard things, the things that scare you. And that's exactly, over time, what changes the trajectory of your future. We need to do this over and over and over again, because with every next level of growth, we're always going to run into our conditioned fear. We can't overcome it. We can't eliminate it. Okay? So now this leads me to my second myth that I want to talk about. What it really means when people talk about manifesting. Okay? And I'm going to say things that are different from popular opinion. Okay? Manifesting does not mean that we're going to be living a life in which all of our goals are reached and all of our dreams come true and we can create absolutely anything. Okay? In fact, when we believe that the purpose of our life is to have all of our wishes come true, that's what actually feeds dissatisfaction. And it feeds feeling like we're just not good enough. Because, wow, I'm not getting that exact dream. Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I'm not manifesting correctly. Okay. So our inner critic then believes that the reason why we don't yet have that dream, the right amount of clients, we haven't gotten the promotion, we haven't found the love of our life, we don't yet have the dream house on the beach, is because we're not manifesting correctly. We still need to fix or change or perfect some part of our thoughts and our beliefs, and then we'll get what we want. Okay. So some of the concepts of manifesting can get us caught in a vicious cycle of frustration and overwhelm and unhappiness. Now, I do believe that our thoughts create our energy. I do believe that the energy of love and gratitude and joy is some very powerful energy. So, of course, I think it's very important to master our thoughts and beliefs and raise our vibrational energy. I think that's crucial. But that doesn't mean that we're all going to become millionaires and live on the beach, okay? Because this is a very important lesson that I've learned along my journey, okay? And this is a lesson that's been the biggest game changer for me. I have to continue to let go of the attachments to my inner critic's ideal pictures. My inner critic's ideal pictures, absolutely. Multi-million dollars, generational wealth for my children, right? That's all great. But our inner critic can get attached to the belief that that's what we should be manifesting. Okay. So that when that doesn't come, we get confused and frustrated, and we tend to lose our focus on the original vision. See, my vision for the work that I do is transforming the quality of people's lives. So if I'm trying to manifest, millions of dollars or the beach house, I'm focused there. And I might be transforming tons of people's lives. But instead of being in the joy and the gratitude that I'm inspiring people and I'm helping people to really live lives they love, I'm confused and upset and frustrated because I don't have these tangible things. Okay? So that's the energy of grasping and attachment and demand. Okay? We want to manifest what we want because we think that having that thing is going to make us feel a particular way. So here's what manifestation really means. Okay? It means that we use our minds, which, by the way, is the most powerful tool we will ever have at our disposal, to think in a way that gets us present to joy and gratitude and self-love and self-compassion and connection and fulfillment right now. Not because we get the thing that we want, right? We do this by focusing on how far we've come, how much we've grown, how proud we are of ourselves for the challenges that we've had to overcome to be where we are now. That's how we change our experience of ourselves and our lives. And then from that energy, that's the energy of love. That's the energy of gratitude. That's the energy of fulfillment. That's the energy of abundance. Okay? From there, we align our actions with our visions. And we continue to let go of our inner critic's attachments to the outcome of any actions we take. We just take the actions and we trust the divine timing of everything that's going to come to us. And what's meant for us is going to come to us. And what's not meant for us is not going to come. So instead of gripping these ideal pictures and gripping onto our own timeline, we have to know that it's not up to us. There are things that are not meant for us in this lifetime. You know, there are some people that have manifested being millionaires, okay? But that's because the biggest lesson that they need to get from this lifetime is to let go of greed, okay? Some people never manifest being a CEO of a company because they need to learn in this lifetime about being proud of who they are now. So we're never going to know what's truly meant for us in this lifetime. So having our own ideas about what we want or what we deserve, that's only going to bring us further away from the peace and joy and fulfillment that we're craving. Now, it doesn't mean that we're therefore not going for our dreams. It doesn't mean that we're not looking for the next inspired action. Of course we are. But the vision needs to be why we're doing what we're doing. It can't be that we're taking these actions because we want that thing, because that's the thing that's going to make us feel the way we want to feel. So I just have to continue to keep stretching outside of my comfort zone and seeing my inner critic's never-ending message that I'm not good enough as though it's just a part of me, just like my hand is a part of me. And I have to let the journey go where it's meant to go. So the more I believe that the direction of my life's journey is up to me, the more overwhelmed and stressed and unhappy I am. Okay? I have to give it to God, the universe, the divine, source, whatever you want to call it. Okay? So even when I went to deliver this keynote, I was very excited to impact the lives of hundreds of women, but I actively practiced letting go of any expectations. I had to give my life over to God because she's in control. My only job is to take the next action that feels intuitively like what is next for me. So I have to tune into my innermost self, right? That's my authentic self, and make sure that the next step that I'm taking feels good, feels inspired, feels like it's bringing me joy. It also might scare me, but it has to bring me joy, right? So sometimes we have a big challenge and that can bring both fear and joy. Now remember, our nervous system can't tell the difference between the body sensations of excitement and fear. They're virtually the same thing. So I always have some fear when I'm taking a really big step. I don't expect that's going to go away, but I can also at the same time tune into excitement because I see what's possible. Okay. So when I delivered the keynote, right, all I did was share wisdom that I thought was going to be inspirational. Okay. So the thought of impacting the quality of their lives and having them see, maybe for the first time, that there's nothing wrong with them if they feel like they're not good enough. That was all I was present to. And the look on their faces said it all. Okay. Because the nods and the ahas, you can see people's like light bulbs going off. It's pretty cool. So to stop believing that we have to eliminate or overcome our fear And we've got to figure out how to get exactly what we want. Okay. Stop having such a tight grip on our inner critic's demands and expectations. Okay. We're always going to have our repetitive thoughts from our inner critic. And those repetitive thoughts are going to create the same repetitive feelings when we're going for something big. But the difference is that when you know that those are just the repetitive thoughts and feelings that are created by your inner critic, now you have a choice. Now you have the power to align yourself with what's possible. Okay? When you know how to spot your automatic mind, you don't have to do anything to get rid of those repetitive thoughts. You can let them be. That's a huge relief. Okay? That's not something that traditional therapy and coaching really talks about. Okay? Oftentimes people seek out coaching or therapy or other kinds of programs because they're trying to rid themselves of their automatic thoughts and beliefs. But trying to rid yourself is what creates so much of the suffering in the first place. Okay. So instead, we want to just practice maintaining moment by moment awareness of those automatic thoughts and feelings and body sensations and behaviors and urges and impulses and the environment, right? The people in the environment that trigger some of those thoughts and beliefs. We can get curious about our automatic mind. What is it thinking? Who triggers it? What triggers it? And we continue to observe it as separate from us. Okay. Last toxic myth I want to talk about today. This is actually part of what I spoke about in the keynote, and I'm sharing it with all of you. Okay. This is an old paradigm of thinking that's automatic to all of us. Okay. And it's the paradigm that if we have our sense of value, our confidence now, our knowledge, our experience, or the right title, or the admiration that we want from other people, if we have that thing, that's when we'll take the right actions, right? And once we have what we need, and then we take the right actions, that's when we will be satisfied, okay? So we approach life with this idea. Once I have that, then I'll do the thing, and then I'll be fulfilled, okay? So we think we need to have that certain thing, more time, more love, more money, the right job, the right title, so we can do something important, like pursue our passions or start the business or go for the promotion. And that's going to make us happy. Then we'll be fulfilled. It's backwards. Okay. And too many of us get caught in this old paradigm. Okay. So the new way of thinking is when I know who I really am now, separate from who my inner critic says I am, now I can be my most powerful self now that knows I'm already good enough. I don't need anyone else to give me my value and my worthiness. Now from there, I can do the next action that's consistent with bringing my vision into reality. I can keep my eye on the vision. I can take the next step towards it. And then I'll probably get some things out of that. I'll probably get some results out of that, but I can be fulfilled and inspired and whole now. I don't need to have anything else to be that right now. Okay. So if we move our focus away from what we have or don't have in our lives to who do we want to be right now? And then we align our goals and actions with that state of being right now. Right? Like I was talking to a woman yesterday, right? She wanted a leadership position. Okay. So I said to her, well, so who do you need to be right now to embody a leader, to be the leader now, and then take the inspired actions from being that leader now. And then eventually, I don't know if you'll have that leadership position, but it will forward something in your life. Okay. So again, I want to go back to the manifestation. It doesn't mean that we're going to manifest exactly what we want, but embodying that state of being right now is going to change the focus of where our lives are headed. It will change how our lives unfold. Okay. So to change our lives is to understand how to consciously and repeatedly give ourselves instructions to interrupt our old programming that's created by our inner critic's attachments and demands. And over time, this rewires our minds. Because remember, our emotions are created by our thoughts, but our emotions also determine what actions we take. So our actions determine how our life goes. So if we want to change our actions, we've got to change our thoughts. And what we give attention to expands. So when we know the difference between our inner critic and our authentic self, we're actually using a different part of our brain. We can look at our world through a completely new paradigm that shapes our thoughts, our beliefs, our experiences of our life. That's how we change our lives. Thank you for listening today. If you found this episode useful, please do me a favor and rate and review. Thanks, everybody.